What's going on, gang? I've been having a little computer trouble recently, which is why I haven't been posting. Just got a new one. Everything should be good now, but I will be addressing some arguments. I've been beefing with people on Twitter. Big Twitter controversy right here. I've been arguing with people on Twitter, and there is a section of the dissident right that seems to think that it's no big deal if Trump doesn't win this election. I will be refuting that.
Right, so let's start with this tweet right here. From James Kirkpatrick, if you've been involved in this sphere for any length of time, especially if you are ancient and remember the days of the George W. Bush presidency and fighting off amnesty attempts from the GOP, the progress on the American right is undeniable. If Trump loses, that ends. And Dave Green, also known as the Distributist, replies, I don't think that is true. If Trump loses, the post-war consensus will start to crumble. That's an opportunity, if not a consolation prize. Already, consolation prize? Like, really, man? Does that sound right to anyone at all? Come on. We all know this is going to be a major setback. I don't know why Dave is taking this position. Personally, I like the Distributist. I watched him when I was younger, but I couldn't disagree more with his opinion on this topic. Someone says, nothing good will come of Trump losing. And he replies, you mean not as much good will come of Trump losing. This is not a win-win scenario, Dave. This is a major setback. So then I go down in the comments and I see this guy, the Black Horse, say, the idea that progress for the right is measured by the extent of its institutional control over the Republican Party at any one moment in time is foolishness. Politics is about the building of organized minorities bound together and with clear interests, not the football game. And I'm like, okay, first of all, a loss will mean the GOP becomes the party of Haley for decades, not just a moment. Harris will persecute any minority trying to organize with goals that oppose the regime. Not understanding the GOP is a critical instrument to achieving these goals is ridiculous. Pretty simple point. Instead of actually engaging with me, though, this guy just decided to quote tweet me. And he went and said, I understand why some red Americans believe this, but it's divorced from reality. Just like Biden was both incapable of going full Stalin and strengthened the authentic right profoundly by pretending he was going to, there is no future in which America is ruled by dictator Kamala. See, the thing is, I'm not a red stater. Never was, never have been, potentially never will be. This guy, the White Horse or whatever his name is just lazily asserts this, as though he has the theory of mind to know where this opinion is coming from, and he already knows what I'm thinking before I'm thinking it and why, when he's completely talking out of his rear end. I am actually a blue stater from one of the deepest blue states in the Union. Anyway, second, the right was not strengthened by Biden pretending to be a dictator. This picture this guy threw up from halfway through the Biden presidency is not what strengthened the right. It was the entire economy going to pot, rampant crime, totally unchecked immigration, and failures abroad like Afghanistan. It's the fact that literally everything got worse. Not that the right thought he was Stalin. And I'm not saying that Kamala will be like Stalin either in saying that people will be persecuted. People like Elon Musk, would be members of that organized minority, will experience extensive lawfare and likely prison time, assuming Trump loses. Tons of people who worked in the first Trump campaign faced serious legal consequences afterward. This isn't a joke. But anyway, this joker continues. Equally, the idea that Nikki Haley is going to outmuscle Elon Musk and Peter Thiel for control of the Republican Party on the 5-year time horizon is disconnected from reality. These are manifestations of fear, not hard-headed analysis of where the U.S. is headed, as though it's Nikki Haley all by herself, and as though Elon Musk and Peter Thiel have this stranglehold over the GOP all of a sudden. There are other people with very deep pockets who are angling to restore the old establishment in case this guy's forgotten. That's why the whole DeSantis campaign was even a thing. This is also pretty rich coming from someone who wants to talk about hard headed analysis, because historically speaking, every time there's a major political defeat for one or the other party, the dominant ideology of the losing party changes. As an example, after Nixon and the Watergate scandal, the GOP had to develop Reaganism in response in order to become electorally viable again, because that previous dominant political ideology was totally discredited. It was a huge setback for our movement, and Trump losing twice would be a similar setback. It would be a turning point in American politics. And I get what this guy is trying to say, that there's a general trajectory and we'll still have this embattled minority whether or not Trump exists. But he and Dave are still really glossing over the symbolic power of a Trump defeat. This will cause a wave of demoralization. Millions of people will not show up again to vote, basically giving up on politics altogether. There will be a power vacuum in the GOP, and in the ensuing struggle, elements from the old establishment would likely seize power and then blame this failure on us populists. And this hypothetical loss will also cast doubt in a lot of people's minds. They won't be sure that Trumpism was actually even the way forward. Also, they're just neglecting the fact that the regime is behaving in very desperate and erratic ways, not only here in America, but then also globally. And we're talking about, I think Keir Starmer was thinking of like banning X. X has already gotten into legal problems in Brazil. I have no idea how important it is that this platform exists in the way it does. They, well, the forces, the powers that be, are definitely, absolutely going to come together and try to turn X back into Twitter. And Elon will probably be in the slammer as a result. It's not a fear response to say that, okay? This is what the regime clearly wants, and they'll be given 4 years to work on it. You know, the more I read these tweets and look over them again for a second time, the more obvious it is to me how asinine this position is. You really think we're going to just rebound after a loss like this? Millions of people will be demoralized, and millions more will seriously begin to question Trumpism. The fact he's even able to run again after losing is remarkable and a highly unnatural thing in American politics, right? And this is only possible. Trump is only able to do this because the number of Americans who doubt the results of 2020 is so high. But if we lose now, there will be two reactions. One, people who think it's stolen again will just permanently disengage, because electoral politics will mean nothing at that point. 2 elections stolen in a row? What could you possibly do as an individual? Democracy is over. The republic has died. There's no point. You should just stop following politics altogether, because there's nothing you can do. Secondly, there will be people who are like, well, maybe he was too harsh. Maybe he was too rude. He turned too many people off. We need to be more moderate and even keeled to appeal to a larger section of people in order to win. After Trump loses, the next person will be whoever they think can win. There won't be a recovery for populism. Vance's career would be ruined, by the way. You don't come back after something like this. Every mainstream thought leader will turn on Trumpism. Ben Shapiro will go out on the Daily Wire every day and say, we have to distance ourselves from these people. They're not electorally viable. And, if you want to prevent the rainbow cult from getting its hands on your kids, you're going to have to compromise on some other things. So pony up and vote Haley, or vote whatever neocon shill they throw in her place. And I didn't even know where these Muppets are getting the impression as though Haley would be doing this all on her own. She would have billionaire support. Come on, the Koch brothers, have they stopped existing? There are people who want to recapture the Republican Party. Are you serious? I mean, geez. This guy's going, she would be 57 while Vance would be 45 and DeSantis 50. She has no shot. You have no idea what losing does to someone's reputation. Mastriano, Herschel Walker, Dr. Oz. None of them are coming back because they lost. It is a stain on your record as a politician. Even Palin had issues after losing with McCain. She had to resign because of that. Just because she was with McCain and McCain lost to Obama. Not to mention, Carrie Lake is probably going to lose again this time around because she lost in the past. It's a serious thing. And I mean, this sort of ridiculousness only is possible because of the position of strength Vance and Trump are coming from right now. That's why these people are confused. That's why they don't understand the gravity of a Trump loss. We're winning so hard right now, they can't even conceive of a future where Vance isn't successful. But the dream world they're operating in is divorced from reality. And not to mention, the elite's leadership right now is sclerotic and they're kind of dumb, sure, but they're not stupid enough not to know that they need to plug this leak. They know what the problems will be. They know their main task, the task for them for the next 4 years, assuming they win, will be to dismantle the elite that was trying to organize against them. And also, because this is still a numbers game, this is still a democracy, to import voters into states and specifically really counties that have a strategic electoral significance, like Maricopa County in Arizona. You know, they'll have 4 years to work on this. They're not idiots. And there's really no recouping from that, right? Millions more people will come into this country. This is not going to be, Harris isn't going to be just like Biden. She's going to run probably a hard left administration, as hard as she can. But what really kills me about Dave's analysis here, and by extension, the analysis of his orbiters, is that I'm pretty sure Dave has said, like Curtis Yarvin, that we'll probably lose this election because Dems will have gotten even better at stealing elections, which personally I don't believe is true based on the radically reduced number of early votes and the fact that these early votes are actually kind of skewed R. You know, we dominate in person on election day normally under ordinary circumstances, but this time Dems are also struggling with early voting too, which is where they were strongest in 2020. But anyway, but if he's suggesting that we would lose twice, 2 times in a row in this particular manner, I have absolutely no idea why he thinks there would be greener pastures, why we would have a good future in store for us. That would just be evidence that electoral politics is done for. You know, the analysis makes no sense. It makes no sense to say that like this is still a win in some way, because this just shows that we'll never be allowed to win nationally. I think things are definitely leaning in our favor. You have Jeff Bezos with the Washington Post and that South African Korean biotech billionaire who owns the LA Times refusing to endorse Kamala. I think it's clear that the elite smell blood in the water and they have a very good of an idea of who is going to win despite whatever monkey business may happen on election day. I think the writing's already on the wall, and most people made up their minds several months ago in June. Um, that doesn't mean it's not very important for you to go out and actually vote and to tell as many people as you can to vote as well. But this position kind of astounds me. I think it's a lot of projection here, too. They're saying this is a fear response. I think this is a fear response on their part, on this contingent of the dissident right, because I think a lot of people had PTSD after 2020. They don't want to get their hopes up at all. So I think what Dave and his orbiters are doing is they're pretending that this election isn't important and that the right will still have some sort of future in this country if we lose, even though that's very obviously ridiculous. There's going to be some serious negative consequences to losing this time around. which we have a clear window of opportunity, and that window will close. It's not fear mongering to say that. And frankly, it's disappointing that you have people who appear to be otherwise thoughtful and considerate saying things that are obvious nonsense. But anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments about it all. I'm sure some of you might be very opinionated. Maybe you strongly disagree with me. I'd like to hear it out. But anyway, that's it for this video, and Red Channels will catch you in the next one.